July 4th, 2021. I had to work before, on, and after my favorite day of the year. With a $1.25 in the tank, some bootleg firecrackers, and only a few hours of energy left, I was determined to celebrate freedom before the Sandman called my number. Using my favorite exploration tool, Google Earth, the goal was to find a path out of town to a place where I could break the silence in peace. These days we live in a contrasted image of what freedom stands for, as more and more of it gets stripped away with the passing of each little law and regulation. It's easy to claim to be a rebel, until Big Brother cracks down on you personally. So we take as many measures as we can to fly under the radar, such as slapping a 49cc sticker on a motor, pretending to pedal, sacrificing a proper exhaust, and hoping the cop that just passed you by is having a good day. Happy Independence Day, everybody. This is the ride to Iron Branch. We started at first light. The plan was a 40-mile trip that would take us through as many parish roads as possible without backtracking. For the most part, we would be on what I like to call no-po roads, where we would be free to use the motor only without faking it. But to get there, we would first need to trek down a no-shoulder highway. Our first stop was to make an adjustment to the mirror, but it just so happened to be at an old burned-down house. Well, not exactly burned down, but close enough. Just gotta tighten up this mirror a little bit. As we crossed the 8-mile mark on our journey, the fact that we're on a loaded down $150 Walmart bike with a 4-year-old $120 motor kit really starts to set in. Our second stop is the Cypress Creek Baptist Church. where we enjoy some snacks and begin to embrace the beautiful July morning golden hour that seems to be amplified by the country silence that Louisiana has to offer. Onto our first gravel dirt road that marks the true beginning of our small journey, as a warming sensation of freedom from the daily grind is brought to life with the sound of rubber passing over rock. The added comforts included with the upgrades we made to the bike were instantly felt. Not only was it pleasant to ride, but the geometry inspired confidence over sketchy terrain. Although we traveled at a patient pace, I never once felt like I had to. Now about 15 miles in, we reach our third stop. A nice clear cut that had not yet been replanted. There are not many features to note in the Louisiana landscape, only a sea of green, but by God, it's an amazing sea indeed. We were lucky with our timing, as this road would normally be impassable for a bike had it rained in the past few days. We are currently riding over dry red clay. Once we had reached Iron Branch Bridge, we were greeted by a peaceful view and a lone fisherman. He looked surprised to see a bike on this road, and that's how I knew we found the good path. We spent only a few moments at the bridge. It was technically our destination, but this story is not about the bridge. I'll never take a parking brake for granted. So, kickstand down, right? No parking brake. Okay. Sometimes you can use your clutch, but the problem is usually that there's just enough slack in the chain to prevent it from being very effective. Okay, so parking brake. Because it prevents the bike from going forward or backwards, the kickstand can't flex. Take it off. Now, obviously, I wouldn't normally use a kickstand on janky ground like this, but you get the point. With the destination being occupied, we decided to move our celebrations deeper into the woods. We find ourselves entering the town of Bethlehem, but calling this a town is a bit of a stretch, as it's really just a small group of houses off a lone highway. We pushed on further and entered familiar territory, for a few moments at least, as we passed through the town of Calvin, with its equally small technicality. I thought it looked familiar to you guys. Made it back to Calvin. which is familiar, but not close to the house. But we got a lot of gas left. Just past the halfway point, and literally miles from the nearest house, we found the perfect spot to let freedom ring. Freedom crackers, G1 crackers, and Lion crackers. Having fulfilled our main goal, we push on. Our journey is almost complete. So far we have seen many beautiful sights along the way, and we have ridden through places I will be revisiting again in the future. But nothing brings home the prize quite like the Kasachi National Forest. This year's celebrations contain no barbecue, no beer, no grand fireworks display. And although many moments of this ride will fade as quickly as the echo from a firecracker, I will never forget the ride to and from Iron Branch.